Hello everyone, LauraKBuzz here, and today we are back with another episode of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, today's episode, we're going to be doing something a little less interactive, and I suspect some of you won't feel the need to watch this particular episode, but what I want to do today, if I can find it, is, where is it in here? Here it is. I'm going to go through all 18 of the memories in Breath of the Wild in order, and I've yet to decide. I may do commentary as we go, I may not. I'm just going to go through all of the memories we've recovered in order, start to finish in their chronological order, just so we can get a real feel for what's going on in this world, not in the sort of out of order spread out way that we've been doing so far. So yeah, I'm just going to hit play. And I'm gonna let the story of the game do the work for me today.
Hero of Hyrule, chosen by the sword that seals the darkness. You have shown unflinching bravery and skill in the face of darkness and adversity, and have proven yourself worthy of the blessings of the goddess Hylia. Whether skyward bound, adrift in time, or steeped in the glowing embers of twilight, the sacred blade is forever bound to the soul of the hero. We pray for your protection, and we hope that the two of you will grow stronger together as one. Forged in the long distant past.
Gee, this is uplifting. She's making it sound like we already lost.
Wasn't this your idea? You're the one who wanted to designate the appointed knight with all the ceremonial pomp, grandeur, and nonsense we could muster. And if you ask me, the whole thing does seem to be overkill. I think I'm on the same page as the princess regarding this boy.
Oh, give it a rest. That boy is a living reminder of her own failures. Well, at least that's how the princess sees him.
So I will say, I wish there was a way to just hit play and get it to play all of these in order without me having to skip between them, like a, hey, you unlocked all the memories, here's the supercut video.
Impressive, I know. Very few can achieve a mastery of the sky. Yet I have made an art of creating an updraft that allows me to soar. It's considered to be quite the masterpiece of aerial techniques, even among the Rito. With proper utilization of my superior skills, I see no reason why we couldn't easily dispense with Ganon. Now then, my ability to explore the firmament is certainly of note. But let's not, pardon me for being so blunt, let's not forget the fact that I am the most skilled archer of all the Rito. Yet despite these truths, it seems that I've been tapped to merely assist you. All because you happen to have that little darkness-sealing sword on your back. I mean, it's just asinine. Unless you think you can prove me wrong, maybe we should just settle this one-on-one. But where? Oh, I know. How about up there? Oh, you must pardon me. I forgot you have no way of making it up to that divine beast on your own. Good luck sealing the darkness!
So one thing that didn't really stand out to me until watching this in order, for some reason, something about Rivali's demeanor in that memory. I assumed that that this was like the first time Rivali and Link had met, but presumably they'd previously met at that ceremony. Like, he's aware of the importance of Link's role, he just chooses not to really give a shit.
From here, we'll make our way to Goron City. Then, we'll need some adjustments on that divine beast so Daruk can manage it as easily as possible. He's figured out how to get it to move. However, it's apparent that we still have much more to learn. But to think, that divine beast was actually built by people. That means we should be able to understand how it works and how to use it to our advantage. These divine beasts, so much we don't know. But if we want to turn back Calamity Ganon, they're our best hope. Tell me the truth. How proficient are you right now wielding that sword on your back? Legend says that an ancient voice resonates inside it. Can you hear it yet, hero?
So we do eventually learn that, like, she does eventually hear that voice, but I'm really curious, actually. There's one thing I'm not aware of, is I don't know whether the order that Link visits these divine beasts in the memory, so starting with Rivali, then going to Daruk, I don't know if that's maybe meant to be the intended progression path through the dungeons, or the order that they set the difficulty in, and how you're supposed to do them. I don't know if that was their intention. I think it'd be an interesting thing to look at, so anyway.
I think I'm finally getting the hang of controlling this divine beast. I tell you what, sure is a blast piloting a toy like this around. Let those other champions know. They better eat their gravel if they want to keep up with Daruk. Speaking of which, can you believe this view? Just look at all those delectable rocks sprinkled on those mountains. Mighty tasty. I may not know a whole lot about this Calamity Ganon thing, but mark my words, I'll protect this land of ours to the death. Right, little guy? Hey, by the way, congrats on becoming the princess's appointed knight. That's a really big deal, protecting the king's daughter. No pressure. Seriously, though, the princess is a strong personality. So strong, she can't quite see the range for the peaks. Remember that, and you'll be fine. Huh? What the? So what was I saying? That was a little strange. As far as I know, Death Mountain has been quiet for decades. But if the mountain is shivering enough to send down a bunch of boulders that size, then never mind. Forget I said anything.
So I'm assuming at this point, Daruk is probably aware that, like, oh, what's going on with Death Mountain is... It's a sign... It's probably a sign that, hey, something's going wrong. Ganon is probably returning, but I suspect he doesn't want to say anything in case it freaks out Princess Zelda about what she's supposed to be able to do by this point. I think it's interesting that he says she can't see the range for the peaks. I think a lot of it is this idea that she can't see all the good she is accomplishing because she's too laser focused on what is expected of her, and she feels like a failure because of that rather than feeling like a success for what she is getting right, and she can't quite see see the good she's doing enough to stand up for herself enough. At least that's how I read that scene.
Nothing. Just as I thought. It appears that this structure was designed to be exclusively accessed by the sword's chosen one. But designs can always be worked around. At least I hope. How do I get inside? I need to activate it somehow. I thought I made it clear that I'm not in need of an escort. It seems I'm the only one with a mind of my own. I, the person in question, am fine, regardless of the king's orders. Return to the castle and tell that to my father, please. And stop following me!
So one thing I think is really interesting about this scene that I don't think we really talked about at the time is that she mentions that the shrines are designed to be opened by the one wielding the sword, so by Link. So she's aware that this shrine is designed to be opened by Link. She doesn't consider the possibility of going to get Link's help. It's no. I'm going to do this without help, even though, like, the easy way in would be to go be like, Link, this thing's designed to open for you. Let's get you here and see if we can work this out. She wants to do it herself. She doesn't want this to be yet another thing that Link can do, but she can't, which I think is interesting.
Ah, well, you certainly got here fast. I should have expected as much, from the princess's own appointed knight. She was out on a survey all day today. Still as the sands now. So, spill it, boy. Have the two of you been getting along all right? It's okay, I know. Your silence speaks volumes. She gets frustrated every time she looks up and sees you carrying that sword on your back. It makes her feel like a failure when it comes to her own destiny. Don't worry, it's not like you carry blame in any of this. It's unfortunate. She's put in more than enough time. Ever since she was a young girl, she's gone through rigorous daily routines to show her dedication. She once passed out in the freezing waters trying to access this sealing power. And she has nothing to show for it. That's the motivation driving her research. I'd be doing the same thing. She really is quite special. You be sure to protect her with your life. It's quite the honor. The night brings a chill. It's probably time we take her in. Or...
Barbossa! What was that? Did you feel that? Wait, what? How did you... What are you doing here? What's so funny?
Now, for some reason in my head, this and the scene at the Oasis, which I assume is the next one, yeah, in my head they happen the other way around. I think it's just because I found the Oasis one before I saw Urbosa's memory in both playthroughs. In my head they occurred the opposite way around chronologically. So, this is definitely her moment of, okay, I see why I've been told to have you around, is that, like, while I've been trying to push you aside, it's actually kind of helpful to have you here. You are really, really, yeah, you're important, and I probably shouldn't be writing you off as just an unnecessary person who's following me for no reason.
That cut doesn't look too bad, actually. You're fine for now. But you know, there's a fine line between courage and recklessness. As brave as you are, that does not make you immortal. It seems that not only is the frequency of these types of attacks on the rise, but the scale of beasts we are facing is intensifying as well. I fear that this is an omen which portends the return of Calamity Ganon. And, if that's the case, I'm ready to expect the worst. We'll need to make preparations as soon as possible.
It's all very doom and gloom, isn't it? Everything's going downhill very quick. Phew, bless me.
There's one. Oh, and another. The flowers we have in Hyrule aren't just beautiful. They're also quite useful as ingredients for a variety of things. This one here is called the Silent Princess. It's a rare, endangered species. Despite our efforts, we can't get them to grow domestically yet. The princess can only thrive out here, in the wild. All that we can hope is that the species will be strong enough to prosper on its own. Oh, is that what I think it is? Look at this. I don't believe it, but I actually caught one. This delicacy is known to have very, very potent effects under the proper circumstances. Ta-da! Research from the castle shows ingesting one of these can actually augment certain abilities. We wouldn't be in a controlled environment out here, but with your level of physical fitness, you'd be a perfect candidate for the study. Go on. Taste it.
So one thing that just, like, struck me as I was watching that, just to think back about, Princess Zelda's design here would have made a fantastic female Link design had they gone the route of, hey, you can play as, you know, either male or female Link, or if they ever go that direction. Princess Zelda's design here would have been so cool for female equivalent of Link. It just would have worked really nicely.
I was thinking, this reminds me of the time we first met. You were just a reckless child, always getting yourself hurt at every turn. Every time, I would heal you, just as I'm doing right now. I thought it was funny how, being a Hylian, you looked grown up so much faster than I did. I was always willing to heal your wounds, even back then. So if this Calamity Ganon does in fact return, what can we really do? We just don't seem to know much about what we'll be up against. But know this, that no matter how difficult this battle might get, if anyone ever tries to do you harm, then I will heal you. No matter when or how bad the wound, I hope you know that I will always protect you. Once this whole thing is over, maybe maybe things can go back to how they used to be when we were young. You know. Perhaps we could spend some time together.
I do feel really bad for Mipha in that, like, the one thing she wanted to do and that she sort of promised her aim was to, no matter how badly injured you are, you know, I will heal you, I will protect you. And it turns out she wasn't able to do that. She was killed before Link ever ended up dead. It would be thematically interesting had they decided to imply that maybe Mipha had been instrumental in activating the, what was it? The Shrine of Resurrection or something, that she'd, you know, helped in some way to save Link. But the implication is that she died unable to save Link, and that Princess Zelda ended up saving Link, and this goes down the rabbit hole of Link probably eventually falling for Zelda rather than Mipha. Mipha didn't survive to see the end of the war. She wanted to probably... The implication is she wanted to be romantically entangled with Link after the war was over, which, if anything, Link would probably do with Princess Zelda, because she's actually alive at the end of the war. And that's a really sad situation for Mipha to be in. Also, I'm having a realization that while Princess Zelda, like, in some of the later cutscenes we're going to watch, does talk about, like, no, I promise, I dedicated every second of my time to praying to the goddesses. Everything we've seen her do so far has been researching tech and science. We've not actually seen her, other than the ceremony for Link, trying to prepare for her role as the goddess, and perhaps she's overstating how much of her time she's dedicating to that. Regardless, here we go, next one.
I doubt this will let up anytime soon. Your path seems to mirror your father's. You've dedicated yourself to becoming a knight as well. Your commitment to the training necessary to fulfill your goal is really quite admirable. I see now why you would be the chosen one. What if one day you realized that you just weren't meant to be a fighter? Yet the only thing people ever said was that you were born into a family of the royal guard, and so no matter what you thought, you had to become a knight. If that was the only thing you were ever told, I wonder then, would you have chosen a different path?
Yep, it's very simple. It's just a moment of honest, openness from Princess Zelda. Also, I'm realizing this memory with her father is much earlier in the story than I expected, and I think this is the turning point where we suddenly start seeing a lot more scenes of her going to shrines and things, is presumably because up until this point she really hasn't been focusing on the goddess duties much, maybe?
Incredible. We're at a point now where we can actually control them. At the current rate, we'll soon know all we need to know about the Guardians and the Divine Beasts. And should Ganon ever show itself again, we'll be well positioned to defend ourselves.
What are you doing out here, Zelda?
I was assessing the results of the experiment with the Guardians. These pieces of ancient technology could be quite useful against them.
I know that. They are essential to Hyrule's future, and our research demands that we keep a close eye on them. However, as the princess, you currently have a crucial unfulfilled responsibility to your kingdom. Let me ask you once more, when will you stop treating this as some sort of childish game?
I'm doing everything I can. I'll have you know that I just recently returned from the Spring of Courage, where I offered every ounce of my prayers to the goddess.
And now you are here wasting your time. You need to be dedicating every moment you have to your training. You must be single-minded in unlocking the power that will seal Calamity Ganon away.
I already am. Don't you see? There's nothing more I can do. My hope is that you'll allow me to contribute here in whatever way I can.
No more excuses, Zelda. Stop running away from your duty. As the king, I forbid you to have anything to do with these machines from this moment on, and command you to focus on your training. Do you know how the gossip mongers refer to you? They are out there at this moment, whispering amongst themselves that you are the heir to a throne of nothing. Nothing but failure. It is woven into your destiny that you prove them wrong. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
So yeah, the king is very, very blunt about how he goes about this. He's just like, nope, I do not want you doing research. This is what you're doing. Done. Sorted. And I think this is the point where, like, up until this point, you've seen a lot of Princess Zelda being passionate about the things she does, and all of her interactions with the goddess stuff they take on a much more somber note. They're just, I can't do this, I fail at this, this is not what I'm here for. A very defeatist attitude to a lot of these upcoming scenes, I think.
I come seeking help regarding this power that has been handed down over time. Prayer will awaken my power to seal Ganon away. Or so I've been told all my life. And yet, Grandmother heard them, the voices from the spirit realm, and Mother said her own power would develop within me. But I don't hear or feel anything. Father has told me time and time again, he always says, quit wasting your time playing at being a scholar. Curse you. I've spent every day of my life dedicated to praying. I've pleaded to the spirits tied to the ancient gods. And still the holy powers have proven deaf to my devotion. Please, just tell me. What is it? What's wrong with me?
I hate that he tells her off for playing at being a scholar. It's like, no, she is following in scholarly pursuits. She's just not being taken seriously for it. It's like, no, if she's being a good scholar, let her be a good, productive scholar. But, like, don't ever tell someone they're playing at being a scholar. Fuck that.
Be sure to take the time to soothe your mount. That's the only way it will know how you truly feel. Your advice was quite helpful, thank you. And this little one and I are getting along quite well now. At first, I wasn't sure if I should outfit him with all of the royal gear. I thought maybe he should have to earn it first. But it works. He wears it like a true natural. I'm trying to be a bit more empathetic. Benefit of the doubt, you know? See that mountain? That's Mount Lanayru. It takes its name from the goddess of wisdom. Lanayru's decree is very specific. It says no one is allowed under the age of 17. For only the wise are permitted a place upon the mountain. I've prayed at the Spring of Courage and at the Spring of Power, Yet neither awoke anything inside me. But maybe up there. Perhaps the Spring of Wisdom, the final of the three, will be the one. To be honest, I have no real reason to think that will be the case. But there's always the chance that the next moment will change everything. Tomorrow is my 17th birthday. So then I shall go and make my way up the mountain.
Oh, she tried so hard. She tried so hard. Like this, I think this is one of the most heartbreaking moments, is just this whole idea of... She seems almost positive for a second on the way to Mount Lanayru. It's the mountain that's most closely tied to her piece of the Triforce that she's supposed to get. It's like, maybe this will be the one, maybe this is where everything will be sorted, and it just doesn't happen for her.
Well, don't keep us in suspense. How'd everything go up there on the mountain?
So you didn't feel anything? No power at all?
I'm sorry, no.
Then let's move on. You've done all you could. Feeling sorry for yourself won't be of any help. After all, it's not like your last shot was up there on Mount Lanayru. Anything could finally spark the power to seal Ganon away. We just have to keep looking for that thing.
That's kind of you. Thank you.
If I may, I thought you... Well, I'm not sure how to put this into words. I'm actually quite embarrassed to say it. But I was thinking about what I do when I'm healing. You know, what usually goes through my mind. It helps when I think about...
This is it, then.
Are you sure?
Positive.
It's awake. Ganon.
Let's stop wasting time. We're gonna need everything we got to take that thing down. Now, champions, to your divine beasts, show that swirling swine who's boss. Link will need to meet Ganon head-on when we attack. This needs to be a unified assault. Little guy, you get to Hyrule Castle. You can count on us for support, but it's up to you to pound Ganon into oblivion.
Come, we should go. We need to get you someplace safe.
No. I'm not a child anymore. I may not be much use on the battlefield. But there must be something I can do to help.
So, again, Urbosa's very much tries to convince Zelda here, like, no, this isn't the end, you know, that wasn't your last chance. I think Princess Zelda had to resign that to being her last chance anyway. I don't think she believes Urbosa that there's other chances. And even if there was a chance of her being won over and being like, yeah, you're right, you know, there's still time, there's still chances. Bam! Worst possible timing. Ganon's unleashed. And I think the fact that Princess Zelda's powers haven't awakened probably was why this whole group together lost. Not because of the lack of her powers particularly, but I think a lot of it does just come down to she felt disheartened. It's this whole idea of, I wasn't good enough, I didn't have my powers, this isn't going to work, I can't do this, and without her having faith in herself, I think the rest of the Guardians didn't have that faith in themselves as well, and I think that's a big part of their eventual downfall, unfortunately.
How did it come to this? The divine beasts, the Guardians, they've all turned against us. It was Calamity Ganon. It turned them all against us. And everyone, Mifa, Urbosa, Rivali and Daruk, they're all trapped inside those things. It's all my fault. Our only hope for defeating Ganon is lost, all because I couldn't harness this cursed power. Everything I've done up until now, it was all for nothing.
See, if your dad had let you keep doing your research, you might...
So I really am just a
No,
failure.
if your dad had let you
All my
research...
friends,
Oh.
the entire kingdom, my father most of all. I tried and I
You didn't fail your father.
left them all to die.
Feeling like you are responsible for the deaths of everyone you ever knew and loved, I think is a very defensible reason to cry, and I really don't get the people who are critical of Princess Zelda crying here. I'm like, fuck being critical of her crying here. That is the most defensible reason to cry, that you are pretty sure all of your friends and everyone you know and the kingdom that you were, like, in line to be in charge of and your father have all died and you think it's your fault. So, like, I don't blame this on Princess Zelda. I think that a big factor is, had her father allowed her to continue her scholarly research into the Divine Beasts, she may have been able to discover things like, hey, these can be taken over, here's how we maybe stop Ganon taking them over, here's why we maybe shut them down before they even start, if that's a possibility. Her father stopped her doing the research part way, and it's like, okay, we're going to use them, but we're not going to let you research them further, and I think, you know, while it sucks that her powers didn't activate, and she couldn't use her, like, goddess powers to save them, she was good at scholarly research. It might have been worth letting her continue researching so that everyone didn't die by Ganon taking these things over. So, you know, I think had she been allowed to continue her scholarly research, she might have been able to save more people.
Save yourself. Go. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Run. So he can still be saved?
Princess!
Princess, are you all right?
Take Link to the Shrine of Resurrection. If you don't get him there immediately, we are going to lose him forever. Is that clear? So make haste and go. His life is now in your hands.
So we saw that memory yesterday, and the big takeaway I had from it is basically just Zelda's powers came in terms of, came to her while trying to defend Link. Unfortunately, she didn't get them quick enough to save Link from death, but she doesn't wallow in the fact that Link has also died and be like, I have failed. It's like, no, I have this power, I can do something, I can fight Ganon, let's be practical. And she does take very quick practical steps to ensure that she pushes forward to make sure that Link's death isn't in vain.
Your master will come for you. Until then, you shall rest safely here. Although the slumber of restoration will most certainly deprive him of his memories, please trust me when I say that I know he will arrive before you yet again.
If I may be so bold, what is it that you are planning to do next, Princess?
The Master Sword. I heard it speak to me. It seems that my role is unfinished. There is still something I must do.
I sense there is great strength in your dedication.
Great Deku Tree, I ask of you, when he returns, can you please relay this message? Tell him
Now then, words intended for him would sound much better in the tones of your voice, don't you think?
Yes.
So there we go. That is all of the memory cutscenes from Breath of the Wild. Here's my thoughts on the whole thing. I think that while there is some lack of narrative that's happening like real time, there's not really a huge amount of the narrative that's going on for the version of Link that's going on in gameplay. I think there's some really interestingly developed characters in those flashbacks that build up a real sense of the world that Link was a part of and the world that Link is trying to save. I think it really does a good job of that, personally. So I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what I'm going to do after today's episode. I don't want to go and fight Ganon yet. I want to continue going around the world doing more stuff, but I'm not sure what that stuff is. I'd like to go to Hyrule Castle and do a bunch of fighting Guardians over there, which I might just travel there so we're ready, because I want to get enough materials and enough money to get a bunch of, like, the anti-Guardian armor, some of the Guardian weapons. I want to get enough, resources that I can go, there's a seller that trades in monster parts, and I want to start getting some of the gear that they give us. I want to go and there's a town we can build that we can help set up. I want to go help build this town. There's a bunch of side questy type things I want to do before we go fight Ganon. I'm not sure how many of them I'll do before we fight Ganon, and I'm like, I That's the one. So I'm going to save here for now, I think. And tomorrow's episode we'll come back and we'll probably do some grinding for Guardian parts. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Bye.